I'm Shiv Varur and this is India First. Thanks for being with me tonight. In a big special investigation by India Today's award-winning SIT team, we've unearthed a huge regrouping of banned terror organizations in Pakistan, like the Jaish-e-Mohammad, in the days after exiting the Financial Action Task Force grey list. Pakistan has resumed its terror propagation and allowing the groups on its soil to raise funds in a big way once again, something that it couldn't do while it was on the terror watch list. On the pretext of reconstructing mosques across Pakistan, the Jaish-e-Mohammad, one of India's most wanted terror groups, is openly seeking funds. India Today's Ankit Kumar penetrated this scandal, and he brings you this disturbing report.
I'd like to remind the Honourable Foreign Minister of the Minister for External Affairs of India that Osama bin Laden is dead. Rath lives, and he is the Prime Minister of India.
The chairman of Pakistan's ruling political party and the country's foreign affairs minister, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, bragging about the killing of global terrorist Osama bin Laden by a foreign force in his own backyard. Just like all his predecessors, Bilawal too concealed the dark reality of terrorist leaders of globally sanctioned outfits like Jaish-e-Mohammad, still being nurtured under protection of his government. An undercover investigation by India Today now reveals that the group responsible for several terror attacks in India, including the hijacking of Indian Airlines plane in 1999, the 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament, and the Pathankot attack of 2016, has now renewed its annual fund collection drive, seeking to build hundreds of new mosques all over Pakistan.
यानी तामीर मसाजिद 313 मसाजिद का तामीरी मंसूबा फी मस्जिद तखमीना 1 करोड़ रुपए.
What you just heard is an open call for donations by the supposedly banned terror outfit in Pakistan, right under the nose of Bilawal Bhutto's government. This comes weeks after the country exited the grey list of the global terror finance watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force. Working with experts, India Today was able to infiltrate the WhatsApp groups Jaish-e-Mohammad operatives have been using. We also managed to speak to one of the operatives from Peshawar, tasked with the responsibility of collecting funds. The Jaish-e-Mohammad operative provided details of an account number with Mizan Bank, Pakistan's prominent Islamic bank that offers a range of Sharia-compliant banking services. The terror operative provided us multimedia outlaying unclad details of the mega Jaish fundraiser. According to the details provided by Jaish-e-Mohammad, the banned terror outfit has set out a target of raising 1 crore Pakistani Rupees for building each mosque, 16,000 rupees for a prayer carpet, and 1,800 rupees per square feet as general budget. For many years, Jaish-e-Mohammad has been carrying out mosque construction drives to collect funds for its terror activities. But now, with the threat of blacklisting from FATF withdrawn and blessings of the Pakistani leadership, the homegrown terror industry is truly blossoming in Pakistan. India has been calling Pakistan out at all global stages.
At the end of the day, the world is not stupid, the world is not forgetful, and the world does, increasingly call out countries and organizations and people who indulge in terrorism. And by taking that debate elsewhere, you're not going to hide it. You're not going to confuse anybody anymore. People have figured it out. So my advice is, please clean up your act. please try to be a good neighbor.
But there are no signs of change from the harbourers of Osama, guardians of Hafiz and patrons of Masood Azhar. In New Delhi, with Arvind Ojha and Ankit Kumar, Bureau Report, India Today.
The RSS draws its inspiration from Hitler's SS.
Now, Pakistan's nourishment of terror, its liaison with terror, allowing terror groups to do as they please, for them to be instruments of state policy, is the worst kept secret as far as Pakistan is concerned. But seldom does concrete evidence of this relationship, down to its most basic level, become so evident. Caught on camera, caught on audio tape, or on phone taps, as we are about to show you in this investigation. Remember, we've only shown you part one. There's much more left here. But before that, I want to bring onto our discussion here in India First. Sushant Sareen is a strategic affairs expert and senior fellow of the Observer Research Foundation. He's one of India's best known observers of Pakistan. Mona Alam is a senior journalist from Pakistan. Welcome to you both. But I'd like to begin first with Ankit Kumar of our special investigation team, who's put this story together. Ankit, it was in October that Pakistan managed, after many tries, to get off the the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force, which is an organization headquartered in Paris, France. Being on that grey list imposed many restrictions on Pakistan. They had to be, in quote-unquote, their best behavior before the world in order to get off this list. And now what your report and what your investigation has shown is that fundraising by organizations including the Jaish-e-Mohammad are in top gear once again. They're off the list and the funds can be raised once again, this time in the garb of funding the construction of mosques across Pakistan. Take us through how you did that.
Well, Shiv, this investigation is not only an indictment on the Pakistani establishment, not only an indictment of Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, who not long ago was taking credit for killing Osama bin Laden, which obviously he did not. This investigation is more of an indictment on the Financial Action Task Force. Remember, we do not know what went through, what went behind the scenes, how this decision to place Pakistan outside of the purview of the FATF grey list was arrived on. We were told that there were 34 points given to Pakistan to show the progress, and then there was a team that visited on ground. We do not know which places that team visited, because what our investigation shows, we started with open source information, right? There are social media pages which posted the links of WhatsApp groups related to Jaish-e-Mohammad. They posted frequent multimedia in those WhatsApp groups. Now, if you try and infiltrate into those WhatsApp groups using Indian numbers, you will not be allowed. But if somehow, which we did, can clone a sort of a Pakistani or a UAE or a Saudi-based number, that gives you, a better access to the operatives of JEM. So that was part one. The reason why we did the story at this time was, it's precisely because we wanted to check how those organizations are doing on ground after Pakistan managed to get out of FATF's grey list.
And boy, have you shined the light on those activities, because they're happening in full force. It wasn't really difficult to even penetrate and get the truth on camera, on tape, as it were. This is I keep repeating this, but this is Pakistan's worst kept secret, Sushant. The fact that the Jaish-e-Mohammad is raising funds like never before, now that Pakistan is off the grey list, is hardly surprising to anyone. I'm sure it's not surprising to you. But Ankit is right, isn't he, when he says this is an indictment of the Financial Action Task Force. There has been this long effort by Pakistan to get off the grey list. But if this is happening, as Ankit's report has proven, then what the hell was that organization doing all along?
I think that question at the outset, actually, Shiv, I paid my compliments to Ankit's report and, India Today's investigation into this whole matter. We have seen some snippets of this kind of activity taking place even in the past on social media, collecting funds for mosques and stuff like that. And this was while the Pakistanis were on the grey list. But I think it is very important to understand that the FATF was focused on two people. One was this guy Sajid Mir,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The guy who was involved in the 26/11 attacks. The man who had died and then was, taken out of his grave and was alive and hearty and then sentenced by a Pakistani court. We don't even know what that sentencing is all about because the whole trial was done in a very hush-hush. FATF was insisting on one him, and secondly, the FATF was insisting on Masood Azhar,
Yes.
on which the Pakistanis told the FATF that we don't know where this guy is, we don't think this organization exists anymore, we have already banned this organization, it's become defunct. And clearly that was a lie,
Yeah.
because there was enough evidence which was already coming out in the social media and in other communication apps which are available, that this was an organization which continued to operate as business as usual. The leadership was pretty much intact. Their main center in Bahawalpur was very much intact. All of that was happening, right? So clearly when the FATF takes Pakistan off the grey list, there was some kind of a political compromise or some kind of a political deal making which happened.
Clearly,
Otherwise, purely on merit, Pakistan did not deserve to be out of the FATF grey list. So yes, it does raise a lot of red flags on the operation of the FATF, the effectiveness of the organization, and the seriousness with which this organization actually targets terror financing.
Yes.
Apart from just doing the virtue signaling that they are actually doing it.
Yes.
How much are they actually effective on the ground? So yes, very serious questions are raised.
And if this kind of fundraising is happening like somewhat in the open, one can only imagine what's happening behind the scenes, undercover, deep cover, etc., etc. In my mind, the FATF stands completely discredited. But let's move on a little further. Mona, how do you explain this? The Jaish-e-Mohammed is a group that Pakistan constantly held up as a group that like Sushant said, has been banned since 2002, they've been cracked down on, they've been designated at the United Nations. Pakistan has constantly made a show of having, taken action against the Jaish-e-Mohammed, said they don't exist in their, with the same potency anymore. And here you have that group, pretty much operating in plain sight and fundraising just 2 months after Pakistan exited the grey list.
Thank you, Shiv. But I've been following the conversation since the start. I've also followed this report of yours. I think this is more based on hearsay and assumptions. Because if they're raising funds purely for building mosques or revamping mosques, they are a charitable organization. They've been doing this in the past also, and I know for a fact that this particular organization has been a lot more active in the floods that have been here in Pakistan, and we're still pretty much dealing with the aftermaths of floods here. So I know as a matter of fact that these organizations do a lot in these times of natural disasters, and they're doing the same as of now. I don't think the scrutiny of FATF is over from Pakistan, and the scrutiny or the watch for Pakistan will always remain as such. The kind of compliance that the Pakistani state has shown with FATF, it's not just me, even neutral spectators or neutral analysts who are not belonging to Pakistan are of the view that the kind of compliance that Pakistan has shown is something which even Western countries
but this is,
when it comes to money
you're talking about charity for floods. Apologize for interrupting, Mona, but you're talking about charity for floods, and I want to bring Ankit in on that. Ankit, the Jaish-e-Mohammed has been known to have many visages, many faces of, so-called charitable organizations. How would you respond to Mona's assertion that this is all charitable activity? There were historic floods in Pakistan, so you can't take one and call it the other. For God's sake, this is the Jaish-e-Mohammed. They're a designated terror organization that your country banned in 2002, Mona.
Shiv, I think I'm not trying to make any aspersions here. I'm just trying to make a point that whatever that you've been talking about here is an assumption. This is all hearsay. You guys are going about on WhatsApp messages or on social media.
Let's ask if it's... Our special investigation team, Mona, does not work on hearsay or assumptions.
The kind of operations that these organizations have undertaken here in Pakistan, I mean, not even an iota of that exists here in the country at this point.
Let's get Ankit to
It's
respond to
not
that.
right in that.
Let's get Ankit to respond to that. Ankit, go ahead.
Mona, let me give you a name. A person's name is Talha Al-Saif. His primary responsibility for past several years has been to narrate the write-ups written by Maulana Masood Azhar, write it down, narrate it, record it, and then post it on several platforms. Maulana Talha Al-Saif. He is part of an official dossier which has been submitted by the Indian government to the Pakistani government. You can check with your government's records. I would like you to go to Bahawalpur. There is this mosque called Jamia Usmano Ali at Karachi Bahawalpur Road. On 30th of September, Talha Al-Saif held a meeting there. If you want, I can give you an audio recording. Mona, I did not interrupt you. If you want, I can send you an audio recording of his preaching. The person is supposed to be a terrorist. Why? Because he was also placed under house arrest while your earlier government was in power. So there must have been some very good reason. If you say that Masood Azhar is not in Pakistan, where is his brother, Maulana Asghar Rauf, who is the operational head of Jaish-e-Mohammad? The charity organizations that you keep talking about, they have also been sanctioned not by India, but by the United Nations and by the US Treasury.
Exactly.
So the charity organizations, and for the record, in this conversation with the JM operative, we did not hear a word about a charity organization. We specifically said, acting as an undercover reporters, we used the word Jaish-e-Mohammad. We said that we want to contribute money to Jaish-e-Mohammad.
And the audio is out there. Yeah, yes, Mona, respond. Then I'll bring Sushant back in.
Please. You're going into a lot of minute details. Okay, fine. I mean, you must be privy to those details. Somebody must have told you those. But the point here is that I'm trying to make is a broader picture. I don't think the scrutiny of FATF is over as yet. When the External Affairs Minister of India is on record for having said that he had conspired against Pakistan and he had lobbied against Pakistan.
Oh, come on, Mona. Come on. I mean, that's such a juvenile response. I don't expect that from you. Come on. That's a separate issue altogether.
Trying to hammer it in the heads of FATF that, you're going too lenient with them. You're going too easy on them. You need to come on a lot more harder on Pakistan and against Pakistan. Let's be very clear that even your media has been very aggressively pursuing this agenda.
Sushant has a response on this. Sushant, once again the India bogey. I mean, come on. This is an investigation. This is an investigation. I wasn't expecting Pakistan to say, oh yes, we will look into all this and you've exposed something that we were not aware about. I don't think anyone expected that. But once again, the Jai Shankar India bogey, Sushant.
Yeah, look, the point which Mona raises that Dr. Jaishankar said something that, we were lobbying. Yes, we were lobbying, and what is wrong with it? We were trying to apprise, Mona, can I finish? We were trying to apprise the rest of the international community of the games that the Pakistanis play. How the kind of deception they indulge in. Let me give you very briefly, when Pakistan was initially put on the FATF grey list, the first response of the Pakistanis was that they, after the periodic review was happening, they came up that yes, we have cleaned it all up. Whatever you asked us to do, we have done it all, right? Then the FATF got into the minutiae of the entire thing. What exactly have you done? And then it was found out that, as the Pakistanis are quite notorious for, that they had paid all the lip service to everything, done eyewash action, passed a couple of laws, and thought that that was good enough. And there was nothing happening on the ground. So then India keeps raising this issue and keeps apprising members of the games that the Pakistanis play. Nothing wrong with it. Number one. Number two.
You can do that very much.
On the Jaish-e-Mohammed itself, Shiv, this is again Dr. Jaishankar said recently, he quoted Hillary Clinton. But I think we have seen certain scenes on the western borderlands of Pakistan. And frankly speaking, I have no sympathy for Pakistan with what is happening, the spike in terrorism. Because this is exactly the games they have played in the past. They raised the TTP, they helped the Taliban, now they are paying the price for it, and now they'll play victim. First, they first they benefited from that
Yes.
for their what they saw as their strategic agenda, and now they'll play victim again. You know that we are now victimized by the terrorists. The terrorists they have themselves created.
Yeah.
So this is the game they have been playing all along, and this is the price they will pay all along. So frankly speaking, let them go ahead and keep raising this Jaish-e-Mohammed. And one final point,
Yes.
Shiv, one reason why the Jaish-e-Mohammed is such a favored group of these guys, actually two reasons. One, the LET had become quite notorious, so they had to shut it down. But the Jaish-e-Mohammed, not so much. Secondly, and more importantly, the Jaish has very important links with not just the Al-Qaeda but also the Taliban. Very fraternal links with the Taliban. And perhaps somewhere along the line, the Pakistanis feel that they can use the Jaish leadership to intercede on their behalf with the Taliban and with the TTP guys. So maybe there is that angle as well, that the Jaish is being preserved.
Sushant Sareen, Mona Alam and Ankit, thank you very much for joining me. I want to promise our viewers what we've given you is merely an appetizer of what's a much bigger, deeper investigation into the activities happening inside Pakistan at this point of time, taking advantage of being off the FATF grey list. We continue to bring you that story. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me, and Mona. Thanks very much. So Bilawal Bhutto, son of Mr. 10%, who claims 100% terror cleanup in Pakistan, clearly doesn't have even 1% of what's required to be a credible foreign minister. And I mean that with a great deal of respect. The investigation we've just shown you shows you that Bilawal's adolescent claims are laughable at best and a little disturbing at worst. Like all ministers of every government that has ever been in power in Pakistan, here's a man who's clearly okay with the deaths of Pakistanis at the hands of terror groups nourished by the policies of his grandfather, his mother, his father, and who knows how many others. But this isn't about shaming young Bilawal Bhutto. Because let's be honest, nothing can shame a Pakistani minister. Close your eyes for a moment, viewer, and imagine if you were a minister of a country where Osama bin Laden was found hiding. A country which then had to cluelessly, helplessly stand aside and watch or wake up to an external mission to finish that terrorist mastermind on your soil. You'd need a very heavy dose of shamelessness to be able to weather representing that country with a straight face on the world stage, wouldn't you? And that's why this is actually to thank young Bilawal Bhutto. A few sober words from India's Dr. S. Jaishankar triggered this entitled young dynast so much that he spluttered and fulminated for a whole minute or more, pausing only to swallow his saliva and rummage through his mind for more tired, defeated metaphors with which to hit India and the Indian Prime Minister. We'll never know why Bilawal was so triggered, but that smug smile on his face proved that he was quaking with anger inside. Angry that someone dared to upbraid him, a Bhutto, so effortlessly on the world stage. Well, here's the thing, Bilawal. Get used to it. Thanks very much for watching. That's it on India First. See you at the same time tomorrow. The news continues here on India Today.